Welcome everyone to the open mic, which is taken in a little longer time, after a little longer time. And the topic of my today's open mic session is news in Dataspecer. I see the typo here in the title, so news in Dataspecer, not a new or newbie in Dataspecer. And I will be talking about the tool called Dataspecer. We already have presentation about Dataspecer, taken by one of the authors of the software, Stepan Stechlák. And in the last 1 or 2 months, I was working with the Dataspecer in one of the projects, and I have seen that Dataspecer has changed quite a lot. So I just wanted to show you what's new in the tool and possibly how could we use it in our project. So I will start from the beginning because the Dataspecer, as we knew it in the last time, is now just one of the modules in the Dataspecer, and the whole project is Dockerized and so on. So I will just summarize what I will be talking about. What's all the stuff that that Dataspecer can do right now. So first, we can install it from Docker. We can create new RDF vocabularies, which is, I think, the new stuff, which wasn't there before. We can import existing vocabularies and reuse them. We can export specifications, which is something that was already present in the previous version, but in a little bit different way. So I'll talk about this a little bit later. We can newly create the application profiles, and we can generate artifacts from them, which was the basic functionality of Dataspecer in the early days of the tool. So let's start. I want to keep it short, so let's go. About the installation, you can find it at GitHub. The GitHub page of Dataspecer is here, MFF UK Dataspecer, and besides the source code, we have some simple README with installation instructions. The most important thing you need to take care of is you need to mount some database folder where all the data will be stored. Otherwise, all the data will be lost in the end of the session, which you probably do not want. So if I look back to the presentation, the command you need to run in Docker is something like this. You can name it. You need to have some base URL, which is localhost in my case, some user identifier, and you need to mount the volume somewhere on your local host or on your local machine. I had some troubles when I was trying to mount it somewhere in the root with the without the permissions for regular users. So I have it in my home directory. Or not? No. I solved it somehow. It doesn't really matter. And then you need to specify the port on which the application runs. So that's basically it. If you open the application, I will show you how does it look like. It looks a little bit like this. I already have some modules created here. So those three folders wouldn't be there normally. And what I wanted to show you is what exactly can I do with Dataspecer. So first button you will be using is the project wizard. Project wizard allows you to create a new project, and the project may be vocabulary, application profile, or data scheme. And we will be starting with the vocabulary. For example, we want to create a new vocabulary for, let's say, LKPR project. So make it a little bit practical. So we just need to name it, and the name the name does not have to be unique within the environment. So I can just create a name I already created before. The problem is that it will be ambiguous. You don't know which project is which if it is the same name. So I will name it sample vocabulary. This is the only mandatory field. You can add some description, and you should create some base arrays. So I will use on top sample vocabulary. And if I create it, I will get into this window. I believe this is something new. This was not part of the Dataspecer before. And in here, you can see that you have this vocabulary, which is empty. You can add some other vocabularies, and then you have classes, relations, attributes, and profiles. I will skip profiles for now, but I think that all of you can imagine what classes, relationships, and attributes means. And as I said before, you can import some existing vocabularies, which you can reuse in your own vocabulary. So let's start with that. You can add new vocabularies by clicking the plus button in the vocabularies tab. And we have three options how to add new vocabularies. The first and the most simple option is that you have some well-known vocabularies from which you can choose. You can see the core location vocabulary, DCAT, DCAT AP, Dublin core terms. You have friend of a friend, all RDF, RDFS, COS. So those basic ontologies, basic vocabularies are available for every user from here. Let's start with, let's say, Dublin core and SCOS and RDF and RDFS, for example. And if I add those terms into my project, those vocabularies into my project, you can see that they have this icon. This means that they are read-only, and I cannot change them in the original repository. If I look into the classes and relationships, you can see that right now I have some terms there. And for every vocabulary, you have the same color of those concepts. So, for example, SCOS is this khaki green. So you can see there are classes, concept scheme collection, order collection, and you can reuse them, or you can create some subclasses of those terms in your model. Then we have some relationships, and we have some attributes. If I want to create a new class, I can do it in the vocabulary which is open for editing, which in this case is the sample LKPR vocabulary, and I do it by clicking the plus button here. And the name is somehow auto-generated in the beginning. The same goes for IRI. You can have the absolute path or the relative path, and you can add some specializations, you can add some definitions. So let's start with inspection or inspector, for example. So we can create inspector, and we say the inspector is an agent providing runway inspection on the airport, for example. It has also some support for multilinguality. So right now this is in English. I can do it in another language, for example, in Czech. And for this Czech, I just fill another definition. So it's agent provádějící inspekci letištní runwaye. So for example, this is just the sample. I can do the same with the name, and of course I can use some higher level vocabulary and create this as the specialization of some other term. And all those terms you have here are classes from the vocabularies which are imported into the project. So I can see the agent right now here. So I can make inspector specialization of agent. I just pick it up from the list, and then I need to press the button Add, which may be sometimes a little bit confusing. When I was creating quite a large model here, I forgot to click the Add button sometimes, and then it's quite problematic to find out which of the terms is not specialized and why, and so on. So this may be a little bit confusing. And I click Create. And if I click Create in the canvas, I get a box with the inspector. I have the name, title, and I have the IRI. That's it. I can create another classes, for example, inspection. I will make it faster. So I won't create any specialization or definition. This is just the inspection, or let's say the runway inspection to be more precise. And that's it. So this is how we create classes. Another thing is attributes. To create attributes, we have the options. We can create attribute here by clicking the plus button, but attribute is always dependent on some class. So we can do it by clicking on the class and clicking the plus button, which gets us into the form to create a new attribute. So I click on the inspector. So I just pick, for example, what can I do, inspector name. You can see that the relative IRI is created automatically. You can change it, of course. And then you can add definition, specialization, and this kind of stuff. For the specializations, you can reuse all the attributes that are already imported. So for this case, I would use label probably. So this is the specialization of the label, and you can specify the domain and the range. The domain is auto-filled because I started to create the attribute from the class inspector. So the tool expects that the domain of the attribute is inspector. And as a range, I can choose one of the predefined data types. This is the full list of the predefined data types, and the user isn't able to add new ones. But for example, I needed a year for something, so I asked Kuba Klimek, and he added that to me. I think that it could be possible to configure it somehow during the installation. But after that, it's not really a simple thing. So for the name, I would use string probably. And as I click create, you can see that I have the attribute here. I can add some other attribute for the runway inspection. For example, inspection date. And it will be date and time the inspection started. And as a range, I will choose XSD date time, because I'm not only interested in the date, but also in the exact time. And right now I have two classes with two, everyone has, each of those classes have one attribute. Last thing which I can do now is to add some relationships. I will probably want it to somehow connect inspector with the runway inspection. So you can add the relationship by clicking the plus button and specifying everything, or you can do it similar like in Ontographer. You have here the chain link button. So you just drag it and go somewhere with it. And this is how the relationships is created. You can choose between relationship and generalization. So we want relationship. We have the source and the target, and then we want to add a name. So party, I don't know, participates in probably. Participates in, so inspector participates in runway inspection, for example. So as we added here, we have some simple graph here. One tricky thing in Dataspecer is that the changes are not auto-saved all the changes, you need to save them by clicking the Save button. As Kuba Klimek told me, they were experimenting with the autosave button, but the problem was that the autosaving did not wait for all the content to be loaded, and it autosaved as empty vocabulary, and you lost all of your data, which was not really what you wanted. So they removed it, and you just need to click the Save button manually. I will check just the presentation if I forget about something, but I think that it's easier if I show it to you in a live demo. Yeah, that's it. So once we have the vocabulary done somehow, we have to make sure we save it. So to make sure just once, okay. And then we can go back to this Dataspecer landing page, and we see that we have here the new directory, which is called sample LKPR vocabulary. If I open it, I can see what exactly is inside. We can see that there's the main view, which is the visual model, the canvas. And then we have the semantic model, which is that LKPR vocabulary sample. And then we have some imported vocabularies. So if you are importing something, you are creating basically a copy, which you import into the project. So if it changed somewhere else, you just need to reload it by clicking this button. So this is how you get the up-to-date version of top-level vocabularies. What can you do right now with the vocabulary? You can export it as a backup file. If I do this, if I click the backup to file, I have the saved zip archive, and if I open another instance of Dataspecer, I can import it there just by clicking the import button and choosing that one zip file. I just download it. Yeah, that's it. Another thing we want to do with it is to export the specification. I can do it just by clicking the export specification button. So I do it, and it downloads the specification in the form of zip file, which contains those two folders. I will extract it somewhere just to show you how it looks like. Presentations, open my Dataspecer sample, and I extract it here, and I will show you the files. So I get two versions, Czech and English, which is on by default. And in the English version, I have 4 files. I have the same in the Czech version. I have here the turtle representation of the old model. Then I have some, I'm not really sure what is this. And then I have the SVG representation of the model, and the index.html, which is the specification itself. I can open it in Firefox and show you how it looks like. So this is done by the respec. This is the usual way of how those kind of specifications documentation looks like. We have the prefixes, we have the attachments, how you can get to the vocabulary or to the application profile. You have some basic information about the classes and properties. The important thing about this is that if you publish this documentation, the specification, and you publish it somewhere on the internet publicly, then you can use this specification as the input for another vocabulary or another application profile. I will show you how to do it properly, because if I go on the GitHub, you can just publish on the GitHub pages. I have prepared open my LKPR repository, and in this repository I have set it up the GitHub pages, and I've visited the site in this directory. right now you get to this. This is something very similar to what I was showing you before. So this is how the specification is done. And if you copy this path and go back to Dataspecer, you can create the application profile which is based on that vocabulary. So, and you need to copy the URL of the specification here. So I just copy here the published version of the vocabulary specification, and my profile, my application profile of the vocabulary will be based on this this specification and this vocabulary. So sample profile, application profile. And as the base area, I will use something similar, like on the sample profile. This will profile. Tak. As I create it, take some time a little bit, and I get into the canvas again. I can see that I have the application profile here, which is a standalone single artifact. I have the vocabulary, which is the basis of the profile, and I have here also all the vocabularies which were imported to the original vocabulary. Then we have some class relationships, attributes, and this is where we need the profiles. I will show you how to do it. So what we want to do is create some application profile with some given structure, which is based on the vocabulary we have created before. We can see that in the vocabulary we have two classes, inspector and inspection, and we want to create their profiles. And to create a profile, you need to press the magnet button to create a profile. So I will do it for inspector, and you get the dialog window in which you see that you are creating the profile of the class inspector with the name inspector with the relative IRI. You can see that it's within the IRI of the base URI or with the profile, and you can change most of the stuff here. You can change specifically for the profile. So we are creating the profile of some class, but you can change the attributes of that class, which will be valid only for the profile. So I can change the name, I can change the definition, I can add some usage notes. I won't be doing anything of that. I just click create, and I get the box here, and you can see that it's not the class inspector, but it's the profile of the inspector. And you can also see that in this list on the left side, you have this information that there is a profile called inspector, which belongs to the sample LKPR application profile because of the color, and which is a profile of the inspector class from the LKPR vocabulary. You can do the same with the inspection. And if you want to create the profile of the relationship, you cannot do it by clicking this chain link. You just need to go to the relationships, find the proper relationship, which is inspect, and create the profile of that relationship. And for the profile, it will ask you again for the domain and the range because it expects you that you will probably use some subclasses or specializations of this kind of stuff. You can rename the relationship. You can add the usage nodes, and you can also change the cardinalities. In the vocabulary itself, there are no cardinalities, but the cardinalities are set up for the profile. As I was discussing with Jakub Klimek, the domain cardinalities are not yet working, but the range cardinalities do, and they are quite important. So as the domain, I will choose the inspector, And as the range, I will choose the inspection, and I will say that every inspector, I think 0 to infinity is okay in this case. Okay, so right now I edit the relationship. I can also edit some attributes. If I click plus, I'm creating the new attribute profile, and I can just, by clicking the plus button here, I can choose the profile of which attribute this will be. So I can look what I could use here probably. Here is inspection date, but I'm in the inspector, so I will use the inspection date here. So I'm creating the profile of inspection date. I need to press the add button. I see there is the inspection date, and there is the small bug that the IRI is not generated automatically in this case. So I need to edit here manually. I have some definition. I can change it that this is the date of date and time of inspection. Here I will choose the date time, and I will say that every inspection has to have exactly one date and time. So I have the inspection date here. By this way, I can create the whole profile. Another way how to create the attributes is just to click plus here. I will. Okay, no, I need to do it in the profile. And right now, I'm not creating the profile, but I'm creating a new attribute, which is a little bit different. I wanted to create the name of the inspector. So in the attributes, I will find probably TC label. No, there's no label. TC label is in RDFS, yes. So I will create the profile of RDFS label, and I will call it inspector name. If you are doing it this way, the IRI is generated in a good way. So if you choose the domain, you will get the domain here, and then after the dot, you get the select name of the attribute. Again, I think that every inspector has to have exactly one name. So as you create it, that's it. You need to save it again. And I will show you what we can do with the profiles. I can do save and leave. If you want to go back to the canvas, to the visual editing of the profile of the vocabulary, you can do it by clicking this button here. And right now we want to create some structure, some formalized structure of the application profile. So we do that by clicking this edit data structures button. And we get to this tool, and this is something what we already know, probably. You just create a data structure. In this data structure, you choose that you have the inspector, and the inspector, you can add some attributes or associations. So we have inspector name, and you have association to inspection. And right now we have two options. From here, you can create the structure of the inspection here by clicking the plus button and adding the attributes. Or you can just go back and create the new data structure with the root element. Inspection. You can add the attributes here. You see that there's the backward association, which you can also add, but let's not go that way. And right now I can go back to the inspector data structure, and in here by clicking this arrows button, you can replace it with reference to another structure. So I will use the structure inspection, which already is somehow defined, and if I replace it, You see that I get the structure here also. We can look on how the structures will look like. For example, JSON LD, and it will show you what will be the JSON LD context of this structure. Or you can go to some simple JSON schema. And this is something which is automatically generated from Dataspecer. Then we can download it or configure. In the configuration, you just can choose which of the artifacts you want to generate. By default, everything is set to yes, but only two which are actually working right now is JSON and XML schema. The rest is either not working at all or working with some problems. You can also specify the language in which you want to have the JSON schemas generated. So as the preferred language, there is default language is Czech. If you want to change it, you just click here the cross and write here English, for example. You can have some specification for the XSD files, or you can change the input template for the documentation. So everything is possible to change here. It's configurable by changing or rewriting the templates, and you can also change the names of the files which are generated. As you click save, you can save it, and then you can click the generate zip file. If you click the generate zip file, everything will be generated with the given path, absolute path. You probably want it for testing. You want to have it with the relative path, so you just click the button generate with the relative path. Yeah, and that's what you get, as I told you before, because I want set it that I want to generate everything. So there are some failures. It doesn't really matter. If you look into the structure, you see that you have the simple application profile, which has the documentation. This is not the documentation of the vocabulary, but documentation of this exact application profile. And then you have for each class, you have here the generated artifacts like the JSON LD, XSD schema, JSON schema, and so on. I can just open it just to show you that it actually works. And as I go back here, there is one thing you can do. You can modify the documentation template from here. You can just show the documentation or export the specification from here as a whole. That's it. And I think that this is basically everything I wanted to show you today. So I just ask you if you have any questions, and I want to thank you for your attention. So that's all from my side for today. So any questions, guys?
Okay, thank you for the presentation. It was interesting. I wanted to ask something. Yes. Does it still support SGOV? Somehow.
Yes, it does. If I go here and I show the vocabulary, I can import in the vocabularies. The SGOV vocabulary is here as one of the vocabularies which you can import, and you can just start from the SGOV. So you can make your vocabulary SGOV compliant.
So what do you think? What is the? How can we use it within the project? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I have some ideas. I think that we can generate some data structures using this tool. It is also this something I didn't show you. I told you that we can import the well-known vocabularies, but we can also create a new vocabulary here, or we can import vocabulary from the URL, which means that we can create our vocabulary somewhere using our tools. We can import it into the Dataspecer, and from here we can create the application profile and generate the structures which will be used for the data or something like that. And another thing, I was a little bit thinking that maybe this graphical structure, for us, maybe it would be simpler to use it for creating some kind of models. So maybe a little bit simpler than using Ontographer. Not because the Ontographer does not support all the stuff, but because setting up Ontographer next to other tools is quite not really easy, not really simple. So this is another way on how we can use the Dataspecer, in my opinion.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe I can ask something which is related to Miro's question. So is this specification that you are creating through the UI, how is it represented? Is it all or RDF, or is it something specific? Like, for example, you were showing how you add cardinalities and types and stuff like that. Is this like...
You were asking about the specification of vocabulary or specification of application profile?
The vocabulary.
Okay,
sorry. Maybe also the profile. Yeah.
Okay. If I look into the specification of the simple two classes vocabulary I've created, you can look at the vocabulary itself, which is here, and it's basically it's using all and RDFs.
Yep.
So this is how the ontology of the vocabulary, or how the vocabulary looks like in RDF. So basically, you have some ontology, you have some OL class and RDFS class. You are using RDFS labels comments is defined by and subclass of relations here.
Yep.
You are using RDF properties. So this is quite. I think this is quite straightforward way of representation.
Yep.
And you also have the application profile here. The application profile here is empty because for the vocabulary I created only the vocabulary, not the application profile. And if I look into this, so this is the second one. If I look what was generated here in this profile, I think this is JSON. I'm afraid that for the application profile, this is some shackle. I think that basically the only representation of the application profile here is the JSON context.
There's
so
JSON
probably.
Okay, what about... There's a query there. I saw a query. Some Sparkle query. Did you insert that? I don't remember.
Yeah, I generated all of the stuff here, but as I said before, basically only JSON, LD, and XSDs are working right now. So I can try to look into the Sparkle. How does it look like? Okay, it's some construct with inspection date.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the query for the. I get it.
Yeah. This is the query that gets you. How does it look like in RDF probably?
Yep. And then maybe a question that follows this: can we use some of these functionality without the UI? So, can we, for example, give it an RDF or an all file, and for it to generate a diagram, for example, or the application specification?
I think that if you want to just upload your RDF file, then it won't generate any canvas. You need to do it by hand. That you need to just to put it there, tell it which of the classes and attributes and relationships from your ontology you want to have in the canvas. I think that this is not possible, and for the creation of the structures, the problem is that you need to specify the structures. You need to specify what are the data types, what are the domains, what are the ranges, what are the cardinalities. So this is something which has to be specified by some user. So it's not something that is done automatically, but I think it's not because the tool does not support it, but because this type of actions has to be done by some, I tell it ontologically, by some agent.
Yeah, sure. I was asking because I imagine we can have some projects in Java, let's say, or in the client side, that we have ontology and we generate the schema or the models.
I think that I understand what you are thinking about, because I think that there is some configuration inside of the tool. So I can ask Jakub how does it works. So maybe you can provide the configuration file and let the Dataspecer do the thing.
Okay.
But I'm not really sure. I was asking how does it look like on the inside, and Jakub told me that everything which is in the project, all the vocabularies, all the classes, all the profiles, everything is in one JSON file, which is used as the portable format for the Dataspecer. So I think this is okay. This is not a black box because it's read the JSON file, but it's something that everything is in one file, and it may be a little bit difficult to extract something or change something there.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe a little bit more difficult for orientation.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay. So are there any other questions from the audience?
Yeah, I have a bunch of questions, but I think it's better to take them offline when we see each other or when we have time.
Okay. Sounds good. I think we'll see each other on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's right. We will see each other.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you for the attention. Thank you for all your questions, and I will stop